Hashem Sharonai Elohav Tila LaDavid Amnu Chalai Melvashov Bechoyim Abarcha Kabbalah Hashem Yodu Chanakol Masadech Yivachut Bod Machan Chayom Malchut Cham Hotech Et Yadecha Maspilcho Charatzon Tzadikan Avchol Rachav Ati B'chol Tilat Adonai Daber Pi Virakol Basar Shem Kochol Olam Boed Vanachnu Barechya Miatavi Olam Hallelujah Valatzion Goel Shavefesh V'Yakov Numa Adonai Vanizot B'Tiotam Amarna Ruchi Asher Lechud Barai Asher Samtu Ficha Lemushun Picha Mipi Zaracha Mipi Zaracha Amar Adonai Miatavi Olam V'Atakadosho Shev Tilad Yisrael V'Karazel Zavi Amar Kadosh 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 Adonai from Glaretz Kevodo Mekabling Dame Bian Ring Kadish Bishma. Bati Saini Ruach Vashmachara Korash Gadol Baruch Baranai Mim Komo Adonai Yimloch Leolam Baranai Machote Kayom Adonai Oshim Elach Yaneinu B'Yom Kareinu Baruch Eloheinu Sheberanu Lichvado B'Don Minatovim Lemani Zamercha Chavo V'Loi Domon Elohai Le'Lamodeka Baruch V'Yivtuchu V'Chayodei Shemecha Ki Lo Azavta Dorshecha Adonai Adonai Chabetz L'man Tzidko Yagdil Torah V'Yahadir. We move to the Torah reading. I'm doing the Torah reading, right? There's no one here who's doing the Torah reading, correct? Okay. So we read from Parshat Shlach Lecha, which as we start to do the teaching in a few minutes, I'll tell you why that's a funny thing for me to say out loud. But that's what we do. Read from Parshat Shlach Lecha. You can follow along in the Eitz Chaim on page 840, or if you just have a Bible, it's the 13th chapter of the book of Numbers. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu mitzvotav v'sivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor shlach lecha anashim v'yaturu et eretz Canaan asher ani noten livnei Yisrael ish echad l'mateh botav tishlachu kol nasi vahem Vayishlach otam Moshe miribar paran al pi Adonai kulam anashim rashi bnei Yisrael heima. Second aliyah. V'ele shemotam l'mateh Ruvain Shamua ben Zakur l'mateh Shimon Shafat ben Chori l'mateh Yehuda Kalev ben Yefuneh l'mateh Yisachar Yigal ben Yosef l'mateh Ephraim Hoshe ben Nun Lemate Binyamin Palti ben Rafu, Lemate Zebulun Gadiel ben Sodi, Lemate Yosef, Lemate Menashe Gadi ben Susi, Lemate Dan Amiel ben Gemali, Lemate Asher Setur ben Michael, Lemate Naphtali Nachbi ben Vofsi, Lemate Gad Geuel ben Machi, Eile Shemot Anashim, Asher Shalach Moshe toward the Aretz, Vayikara Moshe Leoshea ben Nun Yoshua. It's interesting how some biblical names we still use. It's been a long time since I was a rabbi at a baby naming, and they announced the name as Vofsi. I think it's time for Vofsi to get a comeback of Hebrew names, because that's a good one, a good kamatz katan under the vav, Vofsi. Third aliyah. Vayishlach otam Moshe toward Eretz Canaan, vayomer alehem, aluzeh b'negev alitem et har, ureitem et aretz mahi, v'et ha'am hayoshev aleh hechazaku harafeh, hamatu imrav, u'ma'aretz asher hu yoshev bah hatavahi imra'ah, u'ma'he'arim asher hu yoshev bahena ha'b'mechanim, im b'mivtzarim, u'ma'ha'aretz hashmenahi, Imraza Hayeshba Eitz Im Ayin V'hid Chazaktem Ulakachtem Mipri Aretz V'hayamim Yemei Bikurei Anavim. It would be after the Torah service that we would offer an El Malei Rachmin to those who have Yortzeit, and I'm only seeing 3 squares in my view. is Carl Sunshine here? Okay. So if Carl Sunshine can be unmuted, because Carl has your site and you wanted to share the name of the person you're remembering today, and share the Hebrew name. I will say an El Male, and then you can share some memories. But I can't see you, so hopefully Carl can be unmuted. Carl Sunshine.
Okay, I'm here.
Hi, Carl. So remind me whom you're remembering today.
This is for my father, Irving Yeshaya.
Yeshaya, and what was his father's name and mother's name? Yeshaya ben
Simcha Basara.
Simcha ben Sarah. So let me say an Al Maleh. If you want, you can rise, because we would normally do this holding a Torah. So you can imagine you're at the bima with me holding a Torah. Yeshaya ben Simcha Basara. Shochen b'amrumim, hamtzei b'nucha nechona, tachat kanfei hashchina, malot kedoshim u'tohorim kezohar harakia mazirim, et nishmat Yeshaya bat Simcha v'Sara, shalach li'olamo, v'gan Eden tehei menuchato. Ana habala rachamim, hastireu beseter knafecha liolamim, utzror betzrachem et nishmato, Adonai hu nachalato, v'yanuach b'shalom al mishkavo, v'nomar amen. Carl, is there a memory of your father that you want to share with us as you're thinking of him today?
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to remember my father's yard site and to thank you for the creativity that's making it possible to do it in these circumstances. He lived a full life and enjoyed it greatly. He was a pioneer in analytical chemistry, and he mentored many of his colleagues in that field. He taught me many things, including curiosity, openness to diverse views, love of travel, and a get-it-done outlook on life that continued to enrich my own life and provide me inspiration. Thank you.
Carl, you just said an enormous amount in a short amount of time, and in such a way that really gives us a sense of who your father was, and at least one of those things, well, many of those things, but one of those things that he passed down to you, I personally enjoy sharing with you, and that is the love for travel. And may it be possible sooner rather than later for us to rejoin that joyful part of life. And we say of your father, Yehi Zechro Baruch, may his memory be a great blessing to you. And if you want, when we get to the Mourner's Kaddish at Mincha in just a few minutes, you can unmute again and you can be the one to lead the Mourner's Kaddish. Okay, Carl?
I'd rather follow along. Thank you.
That's fine as well. Okay. Then let's go to the Amidah. This is going to be weird because now my back is to the Arona Kodesh. So when I daven, I'm going to turn around, and that seems impolite to you, but maybe I'll just go off to the side a little bit. But you say the Amidah for Mincha to yourself in a quiet whisper. In the Lev Shalem, it's 223. In the one volume Sim Shalom, it's 574. And in the Slim Shalom, it is 234A or B. top of 230, bottom of 584, or bottom of 239. צדקך צדק לעולם, בתורך אמת, וצדקך אלוהים עד מרום אשר עשית גדולות אלוהים מחמוך, צדקך כריה, משפטך תהום רבה, אדם ובהמה תושיע אדוני. Please rise for עלינו, עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו גויי ארצות ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם וגוהר עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שם שמיים ירד, מה שתקרא בשמיים. ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. קדיש יתום Mourner's Kaddish, page 232, or page 599, or page 600, and in the one volume Slim Shalom, page 249. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemir Rabba, v'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Bagala bizman kari v'imru amen yehi shemei rabba meforach leolam leomei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalel shemei dekudesha brichu. Leila min kol brachata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechmata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlam rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom ramav, uyaseh shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. You can be seated if you had been standing. You can be seated even if you were seated. And we're going to do a little bit of Torah study. This is the first time we've done Mincha on a Zoom? We have. Okay, so we'll see how this goes. It might be very similar to my Wednesday morning Rashi class or any of the teaching that Rabbi Chorny or Schatz and I have done, in that if you want to comment, raise your physical hand or your digital hand, and Hector, who is monitoring this from a different room than I am, so I don't see him, he might be able to see you, and I won't be able to see you necessarily, but he'll be able to see you and you can unmute yourself or comment. And you also don't have to, you can just listen. This is going to be like a 45-minute shiur in 18 minutes, because there's definitely enough material for longer, but we don't have nearly that much time. So the reason why I chuckled before when I said this week's parsha that we're reading is Parshat Shlach Lecha is that late Friday afternoon, on the very end of my prep for the weekend, I was deep into preparing a really interesting text study for Parshat Korach until I realized that I was a week off. And I was talking to a colleague of mine. It's like, do you have anything for Shlach Lecha next weekend? I'm like, Shlach Lecha? Isn't it Korach? No, Adam Clakefield, you're off by a week. But ein mukdam u'u'char b'Torah, there's no beginning or late in the Torah. And as it turns out, themes in Parshat Korach also appear in Parshat Shlach Lecha. So we're going to start in Parshat Korach, but I promise you we'll get to Parshat Shlach Lecha. We're going to basically look at three different places in the Torah, including some commentaries, where we can glean some of what our holy text and our sages believe about what makes a kahal, a congregation, a community, a gathering, holy or unholy, sacred or venal, pointed towards the good or something you should stay away from. And we're in an era right now where there are all sorts of things that are attached to the notion of congregating, right? COVID is making congregating problematic and something not to trust. The call for justice in our country is for some people making congregating holy, and maybe even so holy that it is worth risking some of what makes the COVID issue problematic. And we Jews who are connected to synagogue are living through an era where we are not congregating the way we normally have been. And so our whole definition of what a kahal is changing day by day. We're not going to have all the answers here. And you know me well enough by now, I'm not going to be telling you where or what you ought to be doing. I'm going to be showing you some sources in the tradition that at least raise questions about how we should think about the different congregations that we are considering being a part of. Okay, so some of you have the sheet that was sent in a second email that went out just before Shabbat. It didn't come on the Shabbat email, it was the second email that went out. If you don't have the sheet, I'll point to the biblical verses, but you won't necessarily have the commentaries, but I'll read them all out loud. So we start in the 16th chapter of the Midbar of Numbers, verse 3. And what do you know? It's from Parshat Korach. And in the third verse of that Parsha, Vayikahalu, Korach and Datan va'Aviram, Kahalu al Moshe v'al Aharon. Vayikahalu is from the root kahal, kuf hey lamed, mean to congregate. Vayikahalu is in the nifal or in the hitpael, depending on which way you read the verb. They turned themselves into a congregation. They congregated themselves. They went from three individuals into a group. They groupified. They turned themselves into a kahal. Al, against. It's a very active and not quite a violent preposition, but it's a preposition that suggests a particular kind of intent. They went right on Moshe and Aaron, vayamru alehem, and they said to them, and remember, you know the story basically, that we're about to introduce Korach as an arch enemy of Moshe. We know how it's going to end. God's going to shmeist all of the Korachites, right? There's nothing heroic about him the way the Torah presents him, and particularly because his insurrection is against our arch hero, Moshe, right? What did they say to Moshe and Aaron? Rav lachem. It's an amazing two-word phrase. There's too much of you, or there's much to you, right? You can imagine economically throughout history a group gathering around the palace saying, you've got too much. Rav is many, much, lachem to you. There's too much to you. Too much what? Torah doesn't say. Too much power, too much sense of self, too much certainty. It's wonderfully ambiguous. Rav lachem, you've got too much. The way it's translated here, this is not my translation, is you have gone too far. That's nice. It's a little bit of a stretch, but it's a nice kind of modern English colloquial version of suggesting that Moshe and Aaron, at least in the eyes of Korach, have overspilled their leadership boundaries. And they back up this claim. Ki chol ha'edah kulam kedoshim. Moshe and Aaron, the whole Edah and Kahal, pay attention to these words because they're going to come up in these commentaries and in the next verse. Edah is a grouping. So we Datan and Aviram and Korach are going to become a Kahal against you. On behalf of the Edah, on behalf of the other congregation, the fuller, wider congregation, all of them are holy. Uvetocham Adonai, God's in the midst of all of them. You don't corner the market on divine presence. Umadua titnasu al kahal Adonai. Another great use of words. Madua, why? Titnasu. Do you raise yourself up? Remember the parsha last week, naso. To raise up is a good thing. Raise, naso at rosh. Count the number of people. Take a census. Yisarai panav elecha. God will raise his face to you. It's a good thing. But when you do it to yourself, it becomes self-aggrandizement. Lehit nasot means to... That's lehit nasot. Right? Why do you do that? Why do you carry yourselves up? Your job as leaders is supposed to carry other people up. Al, against that same preposition. Al, kahal Adonai, God's congregation. So once again, just follow the form. The three bad guys make a kahal against the two good guys for the benefit of an entire Edah, which is the whole nation, telling the two good guys that you have held yourself up against the kahal, above the kahal, and the kahals had too much of it. On its surface, if you don't know the rest of the story, you might say of Korach, Datan, and Aviram, you've got a good point. Maybe Moshe and Aaron have gotten too full of themselves. And in fact, interestingly, particularly interesting, because Rashi usually doubles down on critiquing the anti-heroes in our texts, right? Rashi turns Yishmael into a total demon. He turns Esav into even a worse demon through the Midrash. When Rashi comes to comment on this verse, it's quite sympathetic at face value to these claims. On Rav Lachem, on the words too much of you, Rashi basically putting an explanation, a worthy, sympathetic explanation in the mouths of Korach. Rashi says, you've taken too much kedula for yourself, too much greatness. I'm not saying, Moshe and Aaron, that you deserve none of it. You just have too much. You've lost perspective. That's a comment in Rashi's voice that suggests that Korach is making a whole lot of sense. On the phrase kulam kedoshim, that all of the congregation of God are holy, Rashi says, kulam sham'u dvarim b'Sinai. They all heard the words at Sinai. You may have been up closer up there, Moshe, to the top of the mountain, but they all heard the words. Mipi hagvura, from the mouth of the Almighty One. Once again, that seems to strengthen the worthiness of Korach's insurrection. And on the phrase madua titnasu, why do you hold yourself up? Why do you raise yourself up? Rashi says, Im lakachta ata malchut. Okay, Moshe, if you wanted to claim kingship for yourself because of your special relationship with God, fine. Lo hayalacha livror la'achicha kahuna. You didn't have to give it to Aaron too. What did Aaron do? Aaron wasn't chosen at the burning bush. Why do you keep it all in one family? This is nepotism. Lo atem levarchem shematem b'Sinai. You weren't the only ones who heard at Sinai, Anochi Adonai Elohecha, I'm Lord your God. Kol haidashamu. Everybody heard it. If you take the verses from Bamidbar and you take Rashi's commentary, what you think you're about to read is a worthy coup, a coup d'etat against power-hungry Moshe and Aaron, who've forgotten that God's presence is equal amongst all people. You've taken too much of the economic pie. Sound familiar? You've taken too much of societal goodness. Sound familiar? We need to spread this around more evenly. You're not any better than us. One of the things that I pull from Rashi here, and Rashi, of course, did not live in the 21st century. Rashi lived over 1,000 years ago, is that even the good ones, the good groupings, the good leaders, who actually started out holding the banner of God in front of them, can go sour, can lose sight, can lose touch with the cause they're actually trying to lead, and deserve sometimes withering critique and opprobrium, even from people who come off as pushy and obstinate and as if they are doing an insurrection. I read Rashi as accepting Korach's critique of Moshe. Sforno, who's an Italian commentator from the 15th century, takes a very different track. You have the sheet as the next source. I'm just going to do this. Well, I'll do it in Hebrew. I know we're running out of time. On the phrase "Vayikahalu al Moshe v'al Aaron," that they made a congregation against Moshe and Aaron, Sforno skewers Korach. And, well, I'll just read it. Korach, Datan, v'Aviram, these three guys, nikahalu, they kind of gathered as a kahal, lehitra'im, to allow themselves to be incited, al Moshe v'al Aaron, against Moses and Aaron, right when it was timed perfectly, when 250 princes from the congregation, who had been sent there. So if you read through the text, you see that these three are the ringleaders, but there are 250 other people who are joining them. According to Sforno, Korach and his ringleaders had sent these 250 people to Moshe earlier. Under what guise? It was judgment time. Moshe was a judge. It was time for people to come to get wisdom from Moshe. So imagine the scene. You have hundreds of people walking around Moshe's tent for good, benign purposes to get some counsel, but among them are 250 plants. They are not who everyone else thinks they are. They're not there for the good cause to simply get counsel from Moshe's mouth. They are plants so that when Datan, Korach, and Aviram come, there are people already there who are willing to turn a little brush fire into a conflagration. The Otama Chamishim Matayim, that 250 people, Noadu Sham, they were kind of walking around, Kemohochim Letumam, innocently, El Moshe, as if they were just walking innocently to Moshe, Lihityatsevi Mosham, to get some counsel from him. Why? Kadeshi Kahalu Korach Datan v'Amiram, so that when the three came, right, everybody winking around, right? You're all pretending that you're just here to get some wisdom from Moshe. But as soon as the three people start raging their complaints, Achar kach al Moshe v'Aaron yuhem kulam kechad. That 250 group will all agree as one. Kechad maskimim l'divrei nikalim. They will agree with the three people. Imagine what happened if Korach, Datan, and Abiram had stood up against Moshe, offered this complaint, and amongst the hundreds of people gathered there, crickets. They claim that they are speaking on behalf of the people. Well, if the people don't want to be spoken for by them, it's not going to be a very successful insurrection. So since they were concerned about that, because they knew that Moshe and Aaron were not as unloved as they're making them out to be, according to Sforno, they send 250 people, and as soon as these three start making the complaints, you hear a chorus, drowned out by the mob, cancel culture. No way Moshe's going to speak at that gathering, because once three people raise a critique and 250 people raise their fists and placards, it doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. They can't be shouted over, and it's going to be successful. Uvacharu sha'ah, and they chose a specific hour, sheyesh sham hamon, where there would be many, many people, hamon am, a large amount of people, kedei lefarsem, in order to make it public, ulahavir kol b'machaneh, so that a voice would ring out amongst the camp, because look how quickly it spread. 3, echoed by 250. Now, if you have another 250 people who are kind of on the fence, well, all of a sudden, you see people riled up around you. That might rile you up as well, whether or not you agree with the cause, if you had a chance to think about it. Laman yirbu mitkumamim imahem, so they could get instant followers to their cause. Sforno, I think here, is less focused on the specific characters of Korach, Datan, and Abiram, but I think rather saying something important and dangerous about how thought spreads but gets less clear when there has been an intentional grouping playing around with issues of candor and honesty, not necessarily representing themselves for what they already are, to introduce chaos to a system. That's very wise 500-year-old cautionary tales about what happens in a mob, even in a mob that is, at least in principle, gathered for the good. People stop thinking. And that gets amplified in the text that I added onto this once I realized we should be talking about Parshat Shlach Lecha, and the next page. So Parshat Shlach Lecha, the spies get sent out, they come back, 10 of them say, we can't go up there. 2 of them, Kalev and Joshua, say, sure we can overcome them. And again, you know what happened, the 10 spies get punished and the 2 who come with the positive report get rewarded. In chapter 14 of the book of Numbers, verse 10, by the way, is anyone having their hand up? Because I can't see. I don't want to be talking over someone. Okay. I'm going to finish up in 3 minutes. Chapter 14 of Bamidbar, verse 10. Vayomru kol ha'edah, same word, that edah, the whole congregation said, lirgomotam, let's stone him. This is not a Monty Python Holy Grail. Burn her, stone her. They said, stone those 2. Stone those 2 who said that we should go up and try to defeat the giants in the land of Israel. Uchvod Adonai nira ba'oel moed, and the glory of God appeared in the tent of meeting, El Kol B'nai Israel. This is where God comes down to start defending his folk. But look what the people, they weren't there. They didn't see the testimony. All they do is they see 10 people against 2 people. The 10 people must be right. The 2 people must be wrong. Not only wrong, stone them. They don't deserve to have a voice. They don't deserve to have breath. The Orach Chaim, Rabbi Chaim ben Attar, a Moroccan and also Venetian who eventually made his way to Eretz Israel rabbi in the, I think, 16th century, maybe 17th century. He says something fascinating. Also, more on the lines of Sforno, but from a slightly different angle in terms of the dangers of groupthink and mob activity, even in the name of the good. He says, Tzarich ladat, you need to figure something out. Lama lo nirgashu b'ma'amar rishon she'amar Kalev alo na'aleh v'yarashnu. He says, this is not the first part in the parsha where the message of we can go up to the land of Israel was articulated. In fact, earlier on, Kalev had said, Alon aleh, let us go up via Rashton and we'll inherit the land. Why didn't the mob erupt with anger then, the first time they heard someone speak against the other 10? Why didn't the mob say stone Caleb? Why did the mob wait till now when it's Caleb and Joshua together saying it? Venireli, and it appears to me, Kiladivrei Kalev lo chashashu. When it was just Caleb speaking by himself, they paid no attention to it. Lefisha dvarav b'telim me'atzman, because they could dismiss his words as a nothing. And now we get into kind of like a anachronistic halachic conversation. Anachronistic is obviously the spies in the land of Israel had no idea what halacha was, because that comes later in Jewish intellectual history, but the rabbis play this game all the time. She'ein edut yachid, omeret legabe edut rabim. If you have one person's testimony against many people's testimony in Jewish law, it's as if the one person has no testimony. Anybody can say one thing. If it's not corroborated by at least one other person, it could just be dismissed. So they weren't concerned about Caleb. Caleb said we could go up to the land of Israel. Okay, but 10 people says that we can't, so we don't have to think about you. We're not angry at you because we don't have to think about you. As it says later on in the book of Dvarim, al pi shnei edim yakum davar, has to be on at least two things that a matter is determined. Lezel lo chashuv levarav, so they paid no attention to his words. Mashein kain, but that is not the case. Kshaba'u yachad divrei Yoshua b'Kalev. It's not the case once Yehoshua adds his testimony to Caleb's. Me'ata hura'a edut meraglim. From the moment that Joshua added his testimony to Caleb's, the testimony of the 10 other scouts, hura'ah, got worse, got relatively less effective. Why? Ki din shnei edim, kedin mea edim. 2 witnesses are as good as 100 witnesses. That's a very important point in Jewish law. One witness is the same as 0 witnesses. 2 witnesses is the same as 100 witnesses. So if it's just Caleb's voice speaking against us, don't even pay attention to him. He's a nothing. Once Joshua adds his voice, they become a pair of witnesses, and their testimony, according to Jewish law, is as powerful and has to be taken as seriously as the 10, which means that 10, their power has been limited. They're no longer a 10. They're a 2. They're no better than a 2, according to Jewish law. The edut shkula hi zot, their equal testimony. The ein kan edut lo shel meraglim v'lo shel Yoshua, and since their testimony cancels each other out, the chazar hadin lamasha yakodem, then it's as if neither of them got given testimony, and if neither of them gave testimony, then the first basic status holds, and the status was God said, go in and explore that land. So the shloach hamiraglim, the sending of the spies, comes back to the original place that it was. Lezeh chashu lehem. Therefore, the 10 got nervous. They realized they weren't going to win the day on numbers, and they weren't going to win the day on powers of persuasion, because Caleb and Joshua had also a strong argument. And all of a sudden, the fact that they were 10 and they were 2 didn't mean anything, because according to Jewish law, that means the same thing. Once they realized they weren't going to get their way in the direct way, in the proper way, in the jurisprudential way, they went the violent way. Stone them. Because if they're stoned, they won't be heard from again. And we don't have to pay them attention. We'll just wash our hands of it and walk away. Now, obviously, that's not what happened in the story. What happened in the story is that the 10 get shmeisted. But Or HaChaim also, I think, with tremendous prescience. I have no idea what it was actually like to live his life and what kind of groups he was exposed to. But he was very wise in recognizing that very quickly, once people realize that they are cornered and they're not going to get the change that they want through the direct pathways, very soon it's going to spill over into less justifiable, more violent, and unacceptable ways to get things done. And even if the thing gets done through that, it's not the way Torah society was meant to be. I don't think it was the way any society was meant to be. And sometimes, in order to get to a juster end, a more evolved end for a society, one cannot go the direct way because the direct way is blocked. The direct way is not accessible to you, and you have to go around. I've got no answers for you. I'm struggling in this moment as an American, as a rabbi, as a white man, as a person who eschews injustice and racism, but also eschews total societal breakdown and certainly mob thinking, and doesn't want to live in a society that wants more diversity properly, but less diversity of thought, because I think that's improper. And we're going to have to muster through this moment from different perspectives, staying away from the stone them instinct, hopefully staying away from the conniving planting of people in certain situations to show that your cause is bigger than it actually is, and rather go back to Rashi's way of being able to listen even to the sermon that you thought was a korach and say, but wait a second, if they have a legit claim, even if they're pulling down a sacred cow, if they have a legit claim, we owe it to them and we owe it to us, and perhaps through these texts we owe it to the Holy One to listen carefully. And if change is warranted, then change must come. It's interesting, last sentence, that Korach's charge comes just a few chapters after Moshe is described by one of his greatest praises. Moshe Anav Mikol Adam. He was the humblest of all people. A few chapters later, he was being called the haughtiest of all people. When there is reason to show a unsightly mirror up even to a hero, even to a leader, even to a society and a nation that you love being a part of, to show where it's pockmarked, to show where it's injured, to show where it needs to heal, sometimes that's not always Korach in the bad way. Sometimes that's even Korach in the necessary way. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to go into Mariv, which we'll do quickly because I know that then we're going to be going to the zoom out. So Mariv can be found on page 200 in the one volume Sim Shalom. I know I'm calling pages differently, in a different order than before. In the Leb Shalem, Norm, I need your cheat sheet for the evenings. Where are you? Okay. In the Lev Shalem, it's on 264. And in the Slim Shalom, it's on page 200. I know this is so frustrating to listen to. Page 281. והוא רחום יכפר עוון ולא ישחית ובעל השיבה פה ולכל חמתו אדוני השם מלך יעננו ביום קוראנו ברוך אתה המקום אשר בדברו מרירים חכמו פותח שערים אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם וברוך אתה אדוני אמרי ברבים אהבת עולם בית זמך ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל אל Melech Ne'aman Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher Tzeit Yirchem Eretz Mitzrayim Li'olechem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Emet ומלכותו רצון קיבלו אליהם משה בני ישראל לחנו שירה בשמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם מי כמוך בעלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהילות עושה פלא מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה זה אלי אנו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר יעקב הוא גאלו מהחזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom Aleinu Malkeinu. Ushmor tzeitzkeinu v'oinu l'chaim l'shalom etaviyad olam baruch atah Adonai shomer amo Yisrael la'ad. The Amidah says in a quiet whisper, beginning 270 in the Lev Shalem, 286 in the Slim Shalom, 210 in the one volume Sim Shalom. Make sure to add in a special paragraph for the end of Shabbat. If you're still davening, please continue at your own pace. We're going to continue as Elliot Tessa leads us in Aleinu on page 281. 281 in the Lev Shalem, 297. Hey, you're a Preston grad now. You can be called on without any warning whatsoever.
That's right.
Contract. You're allowed to call on any Preston grad to lead Aleinu. Please rise for Aleinu. Elliot, 281, 297 in the or 320. Go ahead.
What page?
Which siddur are you in?
Sim Shalom.
It's on 320 in the middle of that one.
Okay.
Aleinu l'shabach l'adon hakol latet gdula le'otzer breshi shelo asanu kegvei haratzon velo shamanu כמשלוחו אדמה, שלא שם הוקינו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומשה ויקרא בשמיים ממעל, ושבינה תוזה, מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אינו, מלכנו ופסולתו, כתוב בתורתו, ויתתו וישלימותו אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד.
כתוב בתורתך.
בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר היה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמעו
אחד. Elliot, do you still love me?
Yes.
Mourner's Kaddish. Good. Elliot, Mourner's Kaddish, we found on 282 in the left Shalom, 298 in the Slim Shalom, or 324 in the Sim Shalom. Yitgadal, Yitgadash, Shemei Rabbah, V'alma, Divrach, Hirutei, V'amlich Malchutei, V'chayechon V'yomechon, V'chayei Dechol Beit Yisrael, V'agala V'zman Kari V'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam Le'omei Maya. Yiparach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yithadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shemei Kudusha Brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imeru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imeru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hui aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imeru amen. And just before we do Havdalah, I noticed that Nancy Goldstone is on this Zoom call. And Nancy, if you like, we don't have to. You could show your video so that we can turn to you. Nancy is just the very beginning of the stage of sitting Shiva for her mother, and we can give you the blessing that we give to those who are sitting Shiva. I just want to scroll now that Shabbat's over, and I can find you so I can be looking at your face. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Okay. So we're so saddened for your loss, made all the more challenging and grievous that it's taking place during this moment. And we will be with you through the Shiva period and beyond, and hope that our digital presence, which doesn't replicate the in-person presence, but that it's something for you, and that you feel your community with you, and the community of the Jewish people with you as you hold on to this grief, and that you mourn your mother. And we say to you the words we've been saying for thousands of years to those who are mourning. Hamakom yinachem etchem b'toch sha'ar avelei Zion v'Yerushalayim. May the Holy One who is everywhere offer you comfort amongst all the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem, and may your mother's memory be a great blessing to you. Welcome. Now, Rabbi Shorny or Shabbat, I don't have a Havdalah candle here for some reason. So do you want to lead Havdalah from where you are? Because I can't.
I could. My dad is leading Havdalah right outside my door, so it just might not be clear, but I'm happy to go and get one.
Is Rabbi Chorny still here?
No, because she went over to the Zoom out of Shabbat.
Why don't you, if you can, I just don't know why, but there's no candle here. If you can do a quick one for us, that would be
Just
great.
give me 1 second.
I'll start the singing. Anai, 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 anai. Nice haircut, Bobby. Anai, 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 anai. Hine Yeshuati Eftach velo Efchad Ki oziv ezimrad yad Onai vayehi li lishua Ushaftem mayim besason Imaynei ya Yeshua Ladonai ya Yeshua Al amcha birchatecha sela Adonai tzvaot imanu Miskavlanu Elohei Yaakov Sela Adonai Tzevaot Ashrei Adam Boteach Bach Adonai Yoshia HaMelech Yaneinu B'Yom Koreinu La Yehudim Hayta Ora V'Simcha V'Sason V'Yikar Kenti elanu kos Yeshuot esa Uv'shem Adonai ekra Adonai 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 Adonai. Are you there, Rabbi Schatz?
I just walked in. That was very good time.
Okay.
Did you Hinael already?
Yes, we're off to Very Priagafen.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Getting cinnamon all over my house. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei v'samim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei meorei ha'e. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil ben kodesh lechol ben or lechoshech ben Yisrael le'amim Le'yom hashvi'i le'sheshet yamei ha'maseh Baruch atah Adonai hamavdil ben kodesh lechol.
Shavua Tov, everyone. If you like, you can get onto a different Zoom now, which we're doing to celebrate our graduates, both from 8th grade and from 12th grade. That link is available on the website. But that concludes this service. And is Eric still here? Where's Eric? Eric, can we see her? Is she sleeping?
Oh, hold on one sec.
Is it one of the newest members of Temple Bethon we've never met? Hey!
Oh my goodness! Oh, she's
Wow.
cute.
Look at that face.
Wow.
How's she doing, Eric?
Great. Everything's good.
Oh, she's so precious.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Wow, Mazal Tov. We can't wait to meet her in person. What a way to begin a life.
Yeah, she had quite an eventful first month.
She did indeed. She was born when? Remind me. What day was she born?
May 15th.
Wow. And how you both feeling? You getting any sleep?
She's starting to sleep a little more. So yeah, I mean, Lila usually gets up with her at 4 a.m. So she's getting less sleep than I am.
Yeah. But hanging in there.
Well, welcome and Mazel Tov, and it's just so exciting. We can't wait to really be with you in person and celebrate her birth.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, I'm running home so I can go to the other Zoom call. Shavua Tov, everybody. Thank you, Hector, for running all of this. See you later, folks.